Welcome to tonight's meeting for the City of Covington Council, March 8th, 2022. If you would silence your phones or turn them off would be appreciated. It's good to see everybody here tonight in the crowd. Roll call, please.
Councilman Lewis.
Here.
Councilman Botsford.
Here.
Councilman Roberts. Councilwoman Ludwig.
Here.
Councilman Barrett.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilman Rowling.
Here. And if we can stand for a moment of silence, please. And let us remember the country of Ukraine in our prayers today. Ms. Nikita, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first off on the agenda tonight, recognition of retirements. So if Ms. Rucker could join me really quick. Can you do that? Thank you. Okay, we have three retirements in the room tonight. And the first one, we have Miss Nikita Bagsby, and she is the Director of Planning and Zoning with the City of Covington for 21 years. And she's really the fabric of that department, and we appreciate all your service and recognition from the City Council of the City of Covington. Thank you. We love Nikita for sure. Next, we have Amy Fauché in recognition of 12 years of service and appreciation, your dedication to the City of Covington. She just retired, the Director of Cultural Arts and Events. Thank you, Amy. We're going to have a group picture in a minute. Thank you. Okay, and last, we have actually someone that's already retired, but we want to honor him tonight. Our former Public Works Director, Chris Davis, in recognition of 27 years of service. Again, the fabric of the City of Covington, Chris Davis. And again, we thank all three of them. Their service to the city is really going beyond work for our city employees and our citizens of Covington.
Might have to move him out the way.
And again, of Covington. Thank you, Ms. Rucker. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. Appearers for tonight. And we wanted to limit, we do have a lot of appearers tonight, so if we can limit to around 5 minutes would be appreciated. First up, we have District Attorney, Mr. Warren Montgomery. There we go. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members of the council, for giving me an opportunity to speak to you. My name is Warren Montgomery, and I'm the District Attorney for St. Tammany Parish. Among my duties is to prosecute violations of state crime, and of course, in conjunction with that, I work hand in hand with your chief of police. And the way the prosecution of crime works is that crime has to be detected. That's the role of the police. The perpetrator has to be apprehended. That is also the role of the police. Then the violator has to be prosecuted. That's the role of the DA. And then sanctioned. And that's the role largely of the judge, although I'll play a role in that as well. And of course, you, the citizens, play a role in all of that. When you report information to the police, when you come as witnesses in trials, when you cooperate with law enforcement, when you cooperate with my office, and finally, when you serve as jurors at trials. And so everybody in this room has a role to play. So it's detection, apprehension, prosecution, and sanction. And over the last 7 years, I've worked very, very hard as your district attorney to try to create and instill confidence in the criminal justice system, that you know that we're working for you, that we're working to keep you safe, and that we're being fair. And I've done that. I think we really have an A-team at the DA's office, an A-team group of people. And that's reflected in the different statistics, such as felony arrest to felony convictions, a time of arrest to time of resolution of the case. And we've done that on a very cost-effective basis. For instance, in Jefferson Parish, they pay $13.8 million a year for criminal prosecutions at their DA's office. My budget submitted to the parish council, and which is paid by the parish council, was for around $6.5 million. Unfortunately, the parish is in a budgetary crisis, and they cut my budget from around 6.5 or 6.6, which they said was a reasonable budget, to $3.1 million. They cut it by more than half. And we already operate on a per capita basis. My operation is less expensive than Jefferson Parish's, okay? But then to cut it by 52% puts me in an impossible situation in terms of doing my job. And but that's what's happened, and that's where we are. And you know, people are not aware of that, but that's a fact. And as a result, for the first time in my administration, I'm going to have to go forward to the people of St. Tammany Parish with a tax of 1/7 of a cent, which amounts to about 1 cent on every $7 of sales tax that you spend, which is equivalent to maybe $20 to $25 per person per year. And that money is going to go directly to the DA's office. It doesn't go to the parish. It doesn't go to the courthouse. It doesn't go for a parking garage. It comes to Warren Montgomery to administer the DA's office and to prosecute crimes. It's not going to be used for any other purpose other than prosecuting crimes and also services related to the prosecution of the crimes. One of the positive things that we have going for us in St. Tammany Parish is what's called specialty courts, and that is in a diversion program. And that's where people, instead of sending them to jail, we can keep them out of the criminal justice system, or keep them very minimally in the criminal justice system and not have to send them to jail. We have more specialty courts here in the 22nd Judicial District, Washington and St. Tammany parishes, than any other judicial district in the state. And that's one of the reasons we have one of the lowest crime rates in the state. And certainly we have a lower crime rate than any of our surrounding parishes. And that's a result of the good citizens we have, the good law enforcement we have, and the good people at the DA's office. But if my budget is cut, which it has been cut by 50%, and that stands, and we don't get a tax pass to restore the DA's office funding, we're in essence defunding the DA. And defunding the DA is the same thing as defunding the police, because their arrests are only as good as my prosecutions. And my prosecutions are only good as their arrest. If they arrest someone and I don't prosecute them, and you see this a lot in New Orleans Parish, and the superintendent of police over there has said, you know what, I'm just spinning my wheels. I'm just spinning my wheels. And that's not the case over here. I want to emphasize also that even though we have a smaller population, we actually, one of the reasons our crime rate is so low is because we do prosecute cases. We have a high felony arrest to felony prosecution and felony conviction rate. Even though we have a much smaller population, the number of cases that we prosecute is about 80% of what they prosecute in Jefferson Parish. So we actually prosecute per capita more cases. The reason why is not that we have more crime, but to keep crime down. And that's why we have a low crime rate. So I'm here today to answer any questions you may have about this tax, this proposed tax that is 1/7 of a cent, 0.14%, which is 1 penny on $7 for the DA's office for the prosecution of crime in related services such as specialty courts and my diversion programs. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I hope all of you maybe got this letter. On the back of this letter is the actual the proposition that will be on the ballot on April 30th. So you can read it now and be prepared. And if you have any questions, I'd like to answer those questions if time's allowed.
Councilman Blox.
So first off, I want to say I've actually visited your specialty courts, and I think it's a phenomenal job what y'all do, especially at 50% cut. And I think that this is overdue, your tax increase, because to cut your budget in half is just unreasonable. And you are responsible for keeping, St. Tammany safe and providing the quality of life that we all enjoy here. And I can't see any reason why you would not get this. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is also because of the failed tax initiative from, I guess, the Brister and Cooper administration it was all tied into the courthouse all as one. And so now you're breaking out your own, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
And look, if I don't get this tax, what's going to happen is I'm going to have to sue the parish.
Right.
And when I sue the parish, then all these other people, the judges and the sheriff, and they're going to jump in my lawsuit. And what is quite possible and maybe even likely to happen is that we put the parish into bankruptcy. And if we do that, that solves nothing. It doesn't get anybody the money. It just costs us a lot of money in legal fees and doesn't really solve the problem.
And I know that everybody's like, no new tax, no whatever. This was a previous existing tax that wasn't renewed. But what I'm saying is that everything has gone up. Your operating costs have gone up. Everything has gone up. And we can't expect you to operate at 50%. And I think that this is extremely reasonable, and I would hope that the voters would pass this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Smith.
Thank you,
I
Councilman.
have comments and one question.
Yes, sir.
My comment is, I think the residents in this parish and Washington Parish really appreciate the quality of life we have when it comes to crime. I know safety issue is, to me, the most important quality of life issue we have. And I'm proud of what law enforcement in the DA's office has done. I've witnessed and looked at some programs when you were elected, the efficiency in which you were able to conduct business, to me, was very impressive. You're not wasting money, okay? That's my point. And also, I think the most equitable way for people to pay for this service that the DA's office brings to the table is through sales tax. It's not a property tax, it's a sales tax. Everybody pays an equitable share. And if my math does me right, that just simply means every time we spend $100 in this parish, 14 cents is going to go to the DA's office.
That's correct.
14 cents out of every $100 being spent. If we don't get behind this as a council, as a community, and promote this, and when's this on the ballot?
April 30th.
And, April 30th, we're making a tremendous mistake, in my opinion. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Rick.
Councilman Barrett?
Yeah, Warren, I just wanted to, number one, thank you for coming here to this council to address to the citizens of Covington what your plan is. And I want to personally thank you for having a plan. It seems to me that the responsibility is with the parish council. It seems to me that the responsibility is on the parish level. Their inability to do this and get it done is disappointing at best. But I wanted to thank you for addressing it and addressing the voters, because they're going to make the decision.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a web page. I think it's damontgomery.org, and you can go there, and I have all my financials, all my documents, et cetera, explaining why we have this, why I'm going. I've never gone out for a tax before. I don't like taxes. I don't want to have to do this, but I've got to do it to maintain the quality, to maintain a low crime rate and the quality of life that we all enjoy and that we want our children and our grandchildren to enjoy. Thank you very much, and thank you for your kind comments.
Thank you. Thanks for coming
Thank you.
and educating us. Thank you
Have
very
a
much.
nice evening.
Appreciate it. Okay. Next on the agenda, Ms. Nicole MacArthur and also Thea Nakuli, if I got that right, statewide syringe service. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. You going to come up too? Or? Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thanks.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Talia Nakuzi. I am the Health Equity Supervisor for the Louisiana Department of Health out of our STD, HIV, Hepatitis C program. I'm here tonight with my colleague, Nicole MacArthur, who was our Linkage to Care Coordinator for Region 9, which does encompass St. Tammany Parish. I'm here to talk to you tonight a little bit about our syringe service program, and that is a statewide initiative that allows for safe syringes to be accessible to our community members. This is something that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued in 2017, that the Louisiana Department of Health, based on our increased rate of hepatitis C and unfortunately our extreme rate of opioid use and overdose, that syringe services were a necessity and a quality of life asset to the state. In the state of Louisiana, there are currently 7 syringe service programs, 4 in New Orleans, 1 in Alexandria, 1 in Shreveport, and 1 in Baton Rouge. And the state of Louisiana, the Department of Health funds or works with, should I say, through grants, through the CDC grants that we operate, through federal and state grants, through our Louisiana opioid response money as well that we have been given from the federal government to address this. We help to fund these statewide syringe service programs. It is important that we mention that in 2020, Louisiana had over 982 opioid-related deaths. 110 of those deaths were here in St. Tammany Parish. We are seeing, and this isn't news to anybody, but we are seeing an increase of opioid use. We are seeing an increase of death. We are seeing an increase of hepatitis C being contracted and spread through sharing of needles. And it is a public health crisis as well as a crisis that we are facing with mental health as well. And so the Office of Public Health and the Office of Behavioral Health are working together to support this and support our Louisiana members. And so we're here tonight to really kind of give you all an idea about the benefits of syringe service programs. They are programs that run through community-based organizations. They are not funded through tax dollars. They are not funded through the Department of Health. They are contracted through the Department of Health, and they are expected to meet deliverables. It is also important to note that syringe service programs are very heavily monitored, and so, purchasing of items such as syringes are on a restricted budget, and that is not through any Louisiana state dollars. These programs and these, syringe service sites not only provide, options for individuals to receive safe syringes, but they also serve as a hub for community access to Narcan, or naloxone, which is an opioid reversal, an education hub, an outlet for individuals to be linked to treatment and care, if they choose that as well, and also a place where you might see someone like Nicole, who is one of our linkage to care coordinators, who actually works in our community to make sure that our clients and our community members have access to medical care and a safe life and a life that they deserve. So we're here tonight, again, to just give you some information about this, to plant a seed and hopefully continue to have this conversation in the future, because we do believe that it is important that we begin to have a strong conversation and a strong discussion about having a syringe service site here in St. Tammany Parish and Region 9 as in general, and hopefully maybe potentially here in Covington. And we can answer any questions. I can also leave my information.
Yes, I'm sorry. We appreciate you being here, of course,
Absolutely.
but thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And if you would, send Ms. Rucker your information. We'll share
Absolutely.
it with the council.
For
so
sure.
They might have somebody to share it with, or
For
just
sure.
have that information handy. So we
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Anyone else? Councilman Sims?
I'm just curious, where is the nearest syringe?
Service
location?
program?
Yes.
Yes, the closest one would be in New Orleans, would be across the lake, or in Baton Rouge. So that depends on, obviously there's travel. There is not one located on the North Shore. There is not one in Hammond. A lot of people think, but there is not.
And my second question, how did you say these programs are funded one more time?
So these programs are funded, they're based out of community-based organizations, so that comes out of the community-based organization's budget, right? They would house this program, but they are also funded through federal dollars, through the CDC, and different grants that the Department of Health would apply for, as well as the Louisiana opioid response funding that we have received from the federal government to attack the opioid epidemic in our state.
Good deal, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Boxford.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. My name's Nicole MacArthur, and like she said, I work here in our community. So I'm the Region 9 Linkage Treatment Coordinator, and I'm on the grounds actively working with our community members who suffer from substance abuse, mental health, all that is entangled with that. And just to give you a little bit of a picture, a lot of the people that I work with are covered in sores. They have Hep C, they have all these issues going on, and a lot of it stems around they're not able to get the work, we call it works, to administer the drug, into their vein. Unfortunately, I hate to talk about it like that, but that's just what it is. So the more time that goes by and these dirty needles and all this stuff is going around, people are just contracting Hep C left and right. All the people that I work with are under 30. These aren't elderly people or anything like that. These are young kids. I have a lot of 18, 19 people that I work with. And yeah, it's very, very, very sad. And at this place, that we plant the seed, if it was able to come to fruition, they would be able to receive health care, and on top of that, come and get the works that they needed to just live a healthier life and hopefully get the help that they need, because it is very sad, and it's a whole generation of kids. So anyways, thank you so much for having us, and I appreciate it.
Councilman Lewis?
Hey, I'm sorry, you said Courtney?
Nicole.
Nicole. So you work on this area. Is there a location where somebody can go to get help? Or are they referred to you?
So, yeah, so I work off a database. So anybody that has, say, HIV, Hep C, gets put into the Louisiana Department of Health database, and then I am over Region 9. So anybody with the address from here to Slidell will come into my case management. I guess you could say, and then I'll reach out to them and start working with them. And ideally, my job is to get them treatment for Hep C. So that's the ideal goal, is to get them treated so they don't pass it around to other people. And we've been doing that since 2019. We have the subscription model with Gilead, so where we can treat people with Hep C who have Medicaid. As before, nobody could get treatment. It cost like 90 grand, so nobody could get the medication. So that's where my role came in. But like we said, a lot of people, most people who have Hep C nowadays, it's from IV drug use, and a lot of that is our kids, they're young kids, like I said, under the age of 30. So, we really need help. The community really needs help, and people are struggling severely. So, thank
I
you.
had a question for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a subject a lot of people don't want to talk about.
Right.
Although, with our Netflix series and stuff about the opioid epidemic and stuff like that, it's something
Yeah.
that definitely needs to be addressed.
Yes.
My question to you is this like a distribution program, or do they have to exchange?
So y'all would actually vote on that. So there's different bills and different ways we could do it. So in New Orleans, I think they don't do it that way. But here, it's how y'all vote on it. They could bring in a certain amount and then they get that back. They could have an ID card. It's all how we want to put it together, how y'all want to put it together.
Yeah, because the goal is to get the
The dirt-
contaminated, dirty needles
Exactly.
out of the system. So it
Exactly.
seems like if they exchange it, it would be much better.
Right.
versus
And that's
just
personally
giving-
what I
Okay.
believe, yeah. That they need to, however much they bring in is what they get back. And like we said, the ID card and no ID card, there's so many different ways we could do it. We could put it together. It's case-by-case basis. But like I said, we don't have one over here, and we have a bunch of other places that have done it. We can look at the way they did it and then build ours how we would like it. So, yeah.
I wanted to just add quickly that a good thing for you all to just remember in terms of the way that this can happen is, obviously we can have more conversations and Nicole and I can share more resources and more information, but the state of Louisiana in 2017 decided that parishes and cities were able to make this decision for themselves if they would like to have a syringe service program in their community. So it's an ordinance that would need to be passed. So if Covington, wants to have that within their community, and then we would be able to help you all through the steps of, like Nicole was saying, what the parameters of that look like so that as a community, we would be making that decision. It wouldn't just be based on, what we think. And we can give you all, different conversations and different suggestions that might be helpful, but really that's kind of the way that it works. So it would go through as an ordinance.
And just one little thing, just so y'all know, I am a graduate of Warren Montgomery's not here, but of the 22nd Judicial Drug Court Program. So, I have lived that life. I was a kid here in Mandeville, or, young adult who struggled with drug use, and I was in his specialty court. And yeah, I could have used services like this. I got my life together through the specialty drug court program. But, when I was out, living that life, these services would have been very appreciated and much, much, much needed. So, yeah, just wanted to mention that.
Well, we thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for the information. Thank you.
Thank you all for having us.
Thank you. Moving on, Angel Nelson, the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Louisiana. Councilman Lewis?
Good evening, Council President. Thank you for having me and all the other council members. My name is Angel Nelson, and I am the interim CEO for Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Louisiana. And I am here just to, one, give you an update of our organization because there's been a lot of changes, and for some, to educate you all about Boys and Girls Clubs. And with me are some of our Boys and Girls Clubs club members, and also our club director, Ron Smith, which a lot of you all know already. He runs the facility here in Covington, and he does a great job. So, Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Louisiana, we merged together as an organization, and Boys and Girls Clubs of Baton Rouge merged with Boys and Girls Clubs of Southeast Louisiana, which includes Covington, Slidell, New Orleans, Gretna, and Baton Rouge. And so we have 9 facilities and then 1 virtual facility in Baton Rouge. 2 in New Orleans, 1 here, 1 in Slidell, 4 in Baton Rouge, 1 in Gretna, and 1, like I said, a virtual one. Our mission is to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. And we cannot do that unless we have everyone, communities, parents, businesses, that come together and really put forth the effort to ensure that our kids graduate on time with a plan for the future. And so how ironic to come behind the DA and then you all too, as far as that program, because what our job is to ensure that they don't have to go through the system and we don't have to deal with that. And so we run programs in 5 core areas: health and life skills, character and leadership development, education, sports, fitness, and recreation, and the arts. And we have drug and alcohol preventive programs as well. And I moved here from Virginia, and we had a diversion program too. And we, just want to thank you all because we receive funding from you all too. And also the events that you all give just to support the kids here, it's amazing. Again, I've been here for a year, and what I see here in Covington, we have a parish advisory council here, and they are unbelievable, always giving support. The parents are always here. We ask them to come here, and they bring the kids, and they're always supporting our organization. And so I just want to say thank you. Just want to tell you all more about our program. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to Ron or myself as well. So just wanted to say thank you. You want to say anything?
Councilman Lewis.
But I think Ron's going to say something.
I just
No,
like
okay,
to
I'm
thank,
sorry.
y'all always support the Boys and Girls Club. Whenever we need something, y'all always been there. It's a very giving community. It's unbelievable what we've been able to accomplish together.
Yes, you want to go ahead?
I just want to thank you for showing up, Miss Angela. It's my first time meeting you, but it's been a pleasure working with Ron in the Boys and Girls Club. Ron, and I couldn't say nothing but good things about Ron. When I call him, he's there. And I would like to return a favor to you and Mr. Ron, as I've tried to do since I've been elected. But my question to you is, I know you guys receive funding from us. Is there anything else that we can do to help you guys enhance the program for the kids, for this community? And I like to think outside of the box. Anything right off the top of your head. I know I'm putting you on the spot. If you can't think of it now, shoot us an email. And I think we have a brilliant council that can come together and come up with some ideas. I know we have a great police force, fire department. I think we have the DARE program coming back. I believe the fire department come out and do some demonstrations with the truck. I may be saying it wrong, but, anything that can be fun and activity-wise with the kids, feel free to let us know. Or if you have someone right now, you can shoot out to me.
No, I think that's, you hit it right on the head. Just being able to partner with other entities in the community is great. Being able to bridge the gap between the police and the kids that we serve, I think it's so important because a lot of times the police see the kids when they're already they're handcuffed. Bringing them in to really be able to see our kids and what they do every day and what they go through, that's where you can really bridge that gap, and then that's where you start earning the trust amongst each other. So I think that's very important. But anyone that comes in and volunteers, that enhances our program, that just betters the community, right? And also, look, being able to serve more kids. We are in a community, not the community center, the school, and the old school. And so being able to figure out ways that we can serve more kids versus serving 30, 40 kids because of the area that we have. So we have a huge partnership with Chevron. They're they're funding a whole teen area within our facility. So they're getting us new furniture, new computer, laptops, all kinds of things, and it's all dealing with STEM as well. So, and that's going to be coming up soon, so we'll be able to put that out, and you guys can come visit when we do the ribbon cutting for our teen center. But absolutely, volunteers, more space, just getting our word out in the community about what we do so they can come in and really take advantage of our program. It's $25 for the year. And really, if you can't pay that, we don't turn any child away. My kids grew up in Boys and Girls Clubs. If it were not for Boys and Girls Clubs, I wouldn't have been able to go back into the Navy and retire. I wouldn't have been able to finish school and get a degree. degree. So there are so many things that I'm a product that my family is as well. So I was able to show my kids that I was a productive, caring, responsible citizen, and it took everyone to do that. And so if we could get that, that would be great.
Councilman Barrett, you had something?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you what you already know, that you're a success story, and you could not have a more receptive council to have you speak to us. Just as our city planner and our arts and director and our public works director are success stories, tonight seems to be a reminder of the community that we want to be. And thank you, thank you, thank you for what you do. When I ran for office, I said we need to do more for the youth in this community. And there's going to be some speakers on what else we can do around here. But you have support up here. Back to Councilman Lewis's point, you're on the spot, and I'm glad you're on the spot. And you think about something, you come back to this council, and we're more than happy to work with you. You're a success story. Keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councilman Ludwig? Thank you, we appreciate it. Okay. Next on the appearers, we have Pamela McKay with the Community Garden. And Councilman Lewis, if you want to introduce.
All right, Miss Pamela McKay, I've known for a while. She's been a friend of my family, but since becoming a councilman, I've had a chance to really work with her, talk with her, learn about her vision and her love for not only God, but her community and her feeding ministry and the garden. She has taken this really to heart. Everything from being on her knees, planning, to going to get the proper education, moving it forward for the community. And I don't know what else I can say about her, besides if you haven't been out there and spent time with her, you need to go, because you will learn a lot. So I'm going to let her take it from here.
Hello, my name is Pamela McKay, and I am the director of God's Unchanging Hands Feeding Ministry. Thank you, Councilman Lewis, for inviting me, and also I'd like to thank the council and administration for providing this opportunity to speak. God's Unchanging Hands Feeding Ministry has been feeding those in need and tending a garden in Covington for the last 6 years. We are a state-registered, insured, nonprofit working in area communities. The kitchen we are grateful to currently use is located at Bethel Reformed Church on West 29th Avenue in Covington. The organization was created in 2016, beginning with the feeding ministry. For several years, I'd been receiving calls from friends and neighbors asking to help in their difficult times. I was at a transition point in my life. I had money to invest due to a traffic accident settlement, and I had a call to help my community. When I recovered from the accident, I knew I could do something to help, and I like to cook. I began by cooking for 25 to 30 people, 3 to 4 days a week using personal kitchen and funding. About a year later, I partnered with Project Blessings for disaster relief after flooding in Laranja and Goodby. 400 people who had been evacuated from their homes were fed for over 3 days. It was my first experience feeding the community at large, and it transformed my vision. So many were experiencing food insecurity. Many times, those in need cannot be served by a food bank because they lack transportation, identification. They are homeless, lack mobility, literacy, and or health. We fill in the gaps where we can. The food for the disaster relief was cooked at Victory Bible Church in Covington, and afterward, God's Unchanging Hands Feeding Ministry stayed, cooking out of this kitchen for 4 years. We began by walking around the community, Covington community, where we knew where the needs were, and handing out hot meals. This grew over time until 300 to 350 were being fed weekly in 2020. We were receiving calls to both give assistance and connect with volunteers. The calls came from the mayor's office, members of the Mayor's Council on Healthy Lifestyles, LSU Ag, Sister Teresa at the Blue Stand, the Food Bank, and word of mouth. I had a strong urge to bring healthier eating to those we were serving, and I was learning and improving my diet at the same time. While many chronic health problems can be greatly improved by a good diet, those in the community often do not eat well due to a lack of education, finances, or both. Vegetables were key, and a garden was the natural next step. I noticed the remnant of the garden at the Boshita Association Memorial Park on North Columbia Street and formed a plan. I learned the history and the status of the garden by asking the community and gained the permission of the city to use the garden through consulting with the then Councilman John Callahan, former Councilwoman Frances Dunn, and Mayor Mike Cooper. With limited gardening knowledge, we next reached out to LSU Ag and other groups for assistance with designing and planning a garden. In the first year, we cleaned up the existing garden and we planted with the advice of LSU's Will Afton. The first year the garden produced, and we began cooking and the harvest produce and sharing with the community. We would get the word out that we were harvesting on a certain day and people would come to the garden. With the garden established and weekly feeding set, we set about adapting to meet community needs and continue to educate ourselves. I took courses offered by LSU Ag, the Southern University, and learned from the local farmers, Mr. Edward Lenore, who sells his produce to Aquista Pace in the local grocery stores, and obtained certification in ServSafe, salt-free cooking, food and farm food safety. Community partnerships grew naturally with organizations that had common goals around feeding, growing food, and providing needed services and basic items for living. There were challenges along the way. Growing a garden and keeping up with the weekly feeding ministry requires planning, pricing, adapting to the acts of nature, resource interruptions. The worst is changing kitchens midweek. I've cooked in 6 different kitchens since 2016. And volunteer availability. In 2019, there was vandalism in the garden and we erected a fence, with donated materials. We continue to learn to grow food in varying conditions. Currently, each Wednesday, God's Unchanging Hands Feeding Ministry cooks and delivers to 250 hot meals, integrating produce from the garden. We educate and share vegetables with the community, offering garden experiences for all ages, and co-produce or attend community events. And we share information on health and provide assistance to our clients during meal delivery. Whew, y'all have to excuse me, I'm a little nervous. We are working to continue education for children this spring with help of a Martin Luther King grant from Target. We were excited to be partnering in the community to create Martin Luther King Jr. Children's Community Garden. Funding comes from grants, donations. The North Shore Foundation lets me know if there's grants available for the ministry, and my personal funds. We have a website, a Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter. The generosity in our community is heartwarming, though the need of our clients remains largely invisible to people often busy with their daily lives. Donations come through the website, post office box, PayPal, auction in August, and this May will be with Give NOLA. The ministry believes that the feeding that we do applies not only to the food we serve, but to the compassion and dignity with which we treat our clients and the attention to other needs they have. Here are a few client stories with names changed. We have a Miss Jane. She's 70 years old. She's a double amputee. She's on dialysis. She lives in Abita Springs, and she lives on her own. So we've been serving her for about 3 years and often help by taking her to her doctor's appointments or go grocery shopping and run little errands for her. Mr. Lee is another 70-year-old living in Abita Springs. He lives in a condemned home, but he refuses to leave. So he waits outside for us each Wednesday to receive his hot meals, and then we donate him clothes or shoes or whatever he needs. And then we have families that have went through a lot and would contact, and we would help them through until they were able to be back on their feet. Amy is a young lady who was pregnant and lost her job due to her pregnancy. And her husband ends up losing his job also. And they lived in a large, well-kept home in Covington. They ran into difficulty, and both had lost their jobs, so we helped them out until they were able to get back on their feet. And then Jeremy, an older man, was homeless and lying on a bench near the trace at Claiborne Hill. And when I found him, he hadn't eaten in 3 days. So he had I had 2 extra meals, so I gave it to him, and he was beyond grateful. Volunteers come from many places and are needed each week. They're all ages, and some are disabled. All volunteers are welcome on Wednesday mornings to cook, assemble, or deliver meals, or work in the garden 1 or 2 to 3 days per week we're there. We had the volunteers, people, they stand up. We had a group of smart and energetic student interns last summer, and they made several suggestions that helped us improve efficiency for meal preparations. Beatrix Brown, a 13-year-old student at Christ Episcopal School, stood out. She organized her own transportation to volunteer while her parents were at work. She recruited others to volunteer, and she continued to fundraise when she returned to school in the fall, raising more than $1,200 with a school bake sale and a post-Ida GoFundMe campaign. We have been blessed over the years to meet many wonderful people, clients and volunteers, and all their stories are unique. It's what keeps us motivated and inspired each story, and the role we will fill in providing the comfort and sustenance needed in certain times. On the other hand, we realize all these meals add up. Ida, COVID, and other events have disrupted the weekly schedule between about 15 times over the past 6 years. Otherwise, we serve an average of 7,500 to 10,000 meals in a year. Our biggest need is for a dedicated commercial kitchen space we can call a permanent home. This would greatly improve feeding, storage, building access, and flexibility in adapting to community needs. And we would qualify to be a Second Harvest Partner feeding program. We've left our business cards on the table in the foyer. Please reach out to us anytime you learn more about what we do. And this ends our presentation. However, if the council allows, Beatrix would like to share for a minute about her volunteer experience. And again, thank you all so much for your time and attention, and to the city for its ongoing support.
Thank you so much for hearing from me today. Last summer, my mom handed me a flyer about a community service opportunity at a local church. She told me that I should go give it a try. The next week, I was dropped by my babysitter at the front of the church. This began my volunteer time with God's Unchanging Hands feeding ministry. From the first day, I was welcomed by many, older and younger, and surrounded by the smell of cooking food and the feeling of love. I started going almost every Wednesday, and Miss Pam and I became much closer. I helped prepare food that would be delivered later that day. Miss Pam and those at the ministry teach me many things that I apply in my daily life. I admire Miss Pam because she saw a need in the community, made a solution happen, and shared it with others. The ministry shows me that hard work for others can give you purpose. I have learned from Miss Pam that the definition of community is coming together as a group and helping one another. When school started again in the fall, I was unable to go to the ministry on Wednesday mornings. I decided to do a bake sale at my school to help raise money for the ministry. After Hurricane Ida, I organized a GoFundMe. In total, I was able to raise a little over $1,200. When I was unable to physically be there, I wanted to continue helping Miss Pam support so many different people that are going through difficult moments in their lives. I love that even though I am young, volunteering allows me to help the best way I can without any limits. Every time I help Miss Pam in the ministry, I feel as if an empty space has been filled in, and I go to bed knowing I have helped my community in a positive way. Thank you for your time.
We thank y'all both for being here. That was great. Ms. Pam, you should be humbled by that message. Sure. Thank you for all you do. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and, I know the skateboard is next, park is next, but I think the presentation is going to be switched. So we're going to move on to 6 first, and then we'll hit the skate park in a minute. So that being said, we're going to move on. We have Mr. Patrick Tooney with Project Development Engineer and Aiden Edmar, the designer engineer for the roundabout at Jefferson and 21st Avenue. Councilman Barrett, if you would like to
Yes,
talk real quick on that.
Those that are here wondering what this is about a roundabout that is proposed for Jefferson and Boston Street. The council had some questions, me in particular, it borders my district. It seems that the roundabout originally was a roundabout, and those were the project plans that I was familiar with. At some point, it changed, and so what the council's looking for, and me in particular, but I've addressed it with my council members, is what is the program? Why did it change? What was the problems with it? Why did it become, as some have called, an oblong about, a peanut about, the only one in the state about, and are there any traffic studies? Basically, what the council's looking to hear is, why is it necessary? Has it been looked at to improve traffic? The lady who was here last time said that, well, it's not a truck route, and I jokingly said, well, do the trucks know that? But so I want to hear, and I think the constituents want to hear, and certainly this council wants to hear about the project.
Sure. So I'm actually Ryan McMillan with the Department of Transportation. Patrick Toney is with us. He's the project manager. And Mr. Larry Sharp, he's the district administrator in the Hammond district. And Aiden Emard, he's the designer for the project. Thank you for having us. I've developed kind of a project timeline that I think will kind of go through and answer some of those questions. And then after that, we've got different aspects of this project as it evolves. Some of it was traffic studies and roundabout studies. I may get Larry to assist me in answering some of those. And then any other type plan development questions, I may try to field those. So hopefully we can alleviate all y'all's concerns. So at the project's inception, a traffic study was performed and the initial roundabout report was approved. In September of 2017, a public meeting was held for the initial roundabout and the preliminary layout, I think is the one that you spoke about previously. In March of 2018, the design consultant completed 100% preliminary plans. At this stage, the district evaluated the construction estimate versus the right-of-way estimate. The right-of-way estimate was more than the construction estimate, and at that point, the original design was deemed unfeasible. District 62 studied the other intersection improvements, and the results of the study concluded that the preferred alternative was a mini roundabout for this location. In September of 2018, the mini roundabout justification report was approved by both the district and headquarters traffic sections. After the report was approved, District 62 began plan development for the new design. In February of 2020, the district contacted the road design section at headquarters in Baton Rouge for assistance with the remaining plan development. The plans were between 60 and 90% preliminary. I know that probably doesn't mean much to y'all, but I would say probably a third of the way through. At this point, Patrick, Tony, and Aiden took over the project management and the design duties. Road Design contacted the mayor's office regarding the project in July of 2021 to discuss various aspects of the project and just update the status of the plans. We had a Zoom meeting with the mayor's office in November of 2021 to answer questions about the project as it relates to the justification and the effectiveness of the roundabout. We also discussed the anticipated letting date, anticipated construction duration, things of that nature. And currently we have a projected letting date of May 2022. So with that,
Let me ask you this. I think one of my issues is that there was a public meeting in September of 2017. Have there been any other public meetings since September of 2017 concerning this roundabout?
No, sir.
And the public meeting in September of 2017 was a roundabout, right?
Correct.
Did the plans change?
The plans did change. This is still a roundabout. Roundabouts aren't all circular. In our design manual, our design guidelines, they're just different oval shapes.
Are there any other shapes like this in the state of Louisiana?
There's not. Nothing.
Let me say this, because I think some of my questions may be accusatory. They're not. I don't think as me as an elected official, and these elected officials up here, should have to ask what the roundabout is supposed to look like. I think that's the responsibility of the state and the mayor's office. I understand there was a Zoom call with the mayor. We're the executive branch, so to speak. We're the ones that have to listen to our constituents as well. I have very simple questions about this. Was there a traffic study? Why, when you look at that intersection, which is a little off, okay? You've got Jack and Nats on one side, which has been an eyesore as long as I can remember. You've got Renee Frederick's office, who's a business person and here, a professional. You've got Pace on the other side, who we all value. Did the plan change to go away from Jack and Nats for expense? Do you know?
That aspect of the project was done at the district level.
So I guess the question would be, that's on the table, and then why did it change, and how do we know it's going to work?
I can try to speak to that. So when you get to a certain point of development in the plans, that's when you start looking at right-of-way take lines. And then, like you said, there's all kinds of roundabouts. There's small ones, large ones. I mean, the one in the feed is different than the one that's out by Archbishop Hannon. They all function the same, but in general, there's different sizes, different formats. So you don't know what your right-of-way take lines are until you get that initial design. So once the right-of-way take lines came in, that's when the right-of-way was over $1 million. The project's estimated at $1.1 million. So when you get to the point where your right-of-way is going to cost more than the project, that's a no-build situation. So the department backed up and looked and said, okay, can we build what we need to make it function in the existing right-of-way? There's a little bit of take that has to happen on the corners. You know, obviously when you put something circular in like I said, it's a very odd intersection. I live in the area. I go through it all the time. It's an S-curve that has a side street that has a large amount of traffic. So to make it function right, it can't be a true circle. So it still operates like a circle. It's still going to operate like all roundabouts do. You come up to it, you yield to the people in the roundabout, and you go to the right. As far as the traffic study, you asked about that. It was studied 3 separate times. So it was studied in, was it 13 was the first study? Or 12 maybe, no, 13. So it's been almost a decade that it's been studied 3 times in that time frame. As far as the studies, all the studies show that a roundabout will increase the efficiency of the intersection at least 3 times. So threefold improvement. Was there any other questions that maybe I can speak directly to?
No,
or-
that was good, and you addressed a large portion of it. I guess what I want to know is, I'm a lawyer, so I know lawyer terms, but let's kind of bring it down a little bit. What I heard you just say was that, yes, it was studied, and it's going to cost too much to go towards Jack and Nats, is what I thought I heard. No? So why did the original plans take part of Jack and Nats, and now it's not taking Jack and Nats?
Well, the original roundabout, like I say, you don't know what you have until you actually start designing it. So when you go to a public meeting, you always go with conceptual drawings. So you take a nice pretty aerial and you drop a circle on top of it and you say, this is theoretically what it would look like. Then you go to design and you actually start putting the model to it, seeing how the geometry is at the intersection. And with the weird geometry that we have here, it was obvious that a circle would take the Hibernia Bank at the time, which is now, part of Quista Pace, and Jack and Nats, and part of the lawyer's office, and even get close to the snowball stand. So, we got to the point there where it was just, if you're buying $1 million worth of right-of-way and taking not just the Jack and Nats, but, Hibernia was an active bank 10 years ago whenever this was first looked at. So all of that came into play, and that's how the real estate value got so high. So it wasn't to get away from Jack and Nats or to get away from Hibernia. It was, okay, if it's going to kill the project to build this huge roundabout, can we do it in a smaller format? And that's when the mini roundabouts come in. And there's thousands of them nationwide. Just because we don't have one here yet, I don't see that as a concern. Again, the models that we've run, everything that's been analyzed, not just by the district, but by headquarters and by a consultant, all say that it's going to improve the intersection by at least 3 times.
So back to that golden question, will it work and is it necessary?
Yes, sir.
Yes and yes?
Yes and yes.
All right.
I was actually a project engineer when we built the first roundabout, which was in Abita, and we had a very similar meeting like this, and we were called several names, and it wasn't going to work, and,
I'm trying to
y'all are
avoid that. It's a
stupid.
good night. We've got some retirements. We got a lot of kids in here. We got to watch what we say.
Right. But whenever that was finished, it was best thing since sliced bread, and we actually had a lot of people come back to us and tell us how much it improved. Because if you remember Abita before that, it was nothing to sit in traffic all the way back to Harrison just trying to get through that one intersection.
Absolutely.
So I feel it's going to do the same thing for Covington, and it's going to give it that nice, that center island, even though it's not anything that's going to have a fountain or anything like that. It's going to be something that can be a centerpiece, and it's going to keep that traffic flowing. Center island will be traversable. That is the dynamics of a mini roundabout. It has to be low enough to where if an 18-wheeler does track across it, it's not anything that damages the vehicle. And that is, you mentioned, I think it was Allison Schilling who was here and said that it's not a truck route. There is paperwork that says this is the only route in the state that's not truck accessible. But, as we know, we have to allow local delivery.
Absolutely.
So it's not anything that's major. I do know the city will enforce. I've seen them enforce on 18-wheelers that are coming through town, just because it's not just this intersection. As we all know, Boston Street is 10-foot lanes. It's narrow. It's got turn lanes. You get 3 18-wheelers side by side on Boston Street, you have a problem. So we did do the counts. The last I heard, they did a week count, and there was 11 18-wheelers that they counted in a week period. So, I don't see that as any concern. And as far as the Quista Pace deliveries and the other downtown stuff, that'd still be allowable and it'd still be doable with the mini roundabout.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank the Chief Administrative Officer for having you here. I would naturally turn over. There's going to be more questions, so don't, you're not out of the woods yet. But
I'm just giving him back the podium.
But I will say this, that, back to the parish council being disappointed with the district attorney, I'm somewhat disappointed, not in you in particular, but it would seem to me that a public meeting in 2017 that shows a roundabout, and then no meeting whatsoever, and now we're putting the only one in the state, which is going to not be a roundabout. I hear what you're saying, you're going to go in a circle, but if anybody wants to see the plan, it's a little concerning. You're the professionals, not me. My job is to ask the questions and have a secure feeling for my constituents in this council. But it would seem to me that there should have been another public meeting explaining this, and I don't think I would have received near the number of inquiries. And I just share that with you because when you go to municipality, well, why are these guys giving us a hard time? Maybe if it's handled a little different, maybe you wouldn't. That's just my own 2 cents. But thank you for coming. I don't have any other questions.
Councilman Smith.
Yeah, Mr. Shaw and Ryan, correct? I've got one question. I guess what I want to ask you is, if money were not an issue when it comes to acquiring the property, would the initial roundabout that we presented to the public years ago, would that be a better plan? And if not, why wasn't this present plan presented then?
Okay, if I understand the question correctly,
I'll repeat it.
I may need you to rephrase it for me.
Weird.
I can touch on some of that. It's not, whenever we purchase right-of-way, it's environmental impacts. So it impacts those businesses, those property owners. So it's not just a monetary aspect. We try to limit right-of-way so we're not a burden on the public citizens as well. So there is a cost benefit and an analysis that goes into the right-of-way versus the construction cost. But we also try to minimize how we impact the public property.
So Ryan, are you suggesting that this plan, Plan B, it's better than and more effective than Plan A that was presented initially?
From a right-of-way taken, I would say that it probably is.
Okay.
And, given the situation with, few truck traffic,
Well, the concerns I have is the state would come in and do this project, and it's over. And the city of Covington lives with this project for decades, okay? Maybe 100 years from now, this oblong or whatever it is will be there. And we're kind of a guinea pig in this area anyway. Nationally, you said they've been successful, but I'm sure every intersection works a little bit differently. You were bragging about a Peters that works. Well, that's a true roundabout, and that's very similar to what the first plan was presented. And we all kind of thought, yeah, it would be more effective and be more efficient, 3 times more efficient, move traffic, right? Okay. All of a sudden, Plan B comes in, and the feeling I get is it's all about money. It's all about the state saying, we don't want to pay that much money to acquire that property. So my fear is that the city is getting not a top shelf project, we're getting a well project, if you get my point. And I don't think that we, as a city, deserve to be living with something because the state says, we don't want to spend that much money to do the project, although maybe that was the best project. But we can find a Plan B that, that's my concern.
Right, and obviously a legitimate concern. Like I say, I live in the area, grew up in the area, drive it several times a week. I wouldn't endorse something that I thought was not top shelf. I realize it seems like when you say you went from a big roundabout to a small roundabout, that, something changed. But what it really does come down to is cost-benefit ratio. Because we get federal funding, the feds won't fund us if it costs more for right-of-way for the project. If you get to the point where the real estate that you're buying costs more than the project, the feds just back off. They say it's not a viable project, and you get no bill. So instead of doing nothing, then we just said, can we reduce the footprint?
And I may have missed it. Do we have any plans of coming to make a presentation with Plan B to Joe Public, the council?
No, sir.
Like we did with the initial presentation.
Not that I'm
So the
aware of, I
questions
mean.
from the public can be asked, and
Right, because nothing, the only thing that really changed was just the shape of it.
okay.
You know, from a department standpoint, yes, we do public meetings and we give that, like I say, it's a conceptual. You know, we show an aerial and a pretty picture and say, this is what we'd like to build. But when you actually get into design, then you have to make it work. And so there's always changes between a public meeting and what actually gets constructed. It's usually not major. Usually most people don't even notice the difference. This is noticeable just because it went from a circle to a little stretched out.
Correct.
And initially, you said the roundabout would be 3 times more efficient than what we have today.
Yes, sir.
What ratio would you give this second option? Is it still going to be 3 times more efficient
Yes.
moving traffic?
That's actually the report that I was quoting from was the second traffic study. The first study was done in 2013. The second one was done in 2018 after the roundabout went to a mini about.
Got it.
And so that's the figures I quoted was from the
Have you all
second.
shared that with the city by any chance?
The actual
That
study?
study? Yes.
We have it. We can.
Can we actually maybe get
Right,
a
if
chance
you-
to review that?
You can, if the clerk wouldn't mind putting in a public information request. I mean, that's,
Okay.
because a lot of it's not our actual intellectual property. We have consultants and things like that have stamps and liability, so we always request a public
Well,
information
Mr.
request.
Sharp, I feel good that you're from this area and that you wouldn't want to put anything in here that you didn't think was
No,
going to
sir,
improve traffic flow.
I got to go that way to go to church, so I
There
don't
you
want to,
go.
I don't want to look at it every
Good deal.
time I go to church and say, why did we do that?
Good deal. Thank you for your
I
time.
think we have another Councilman Lewis that might want to say something.
Yeah, I guess I just want to echo some of the comments, and I guess I'm still a little confused. First, to start off with the, echoing for what Councilman Verrett said, with your timeline of the original meeting, 2017. It seems that that was the first public meeting, and then y'all came up with a new plan, and the only meetings after that was with one-on-one with the mayor, I'm assuming, and then there was nothing, and it's just 100% approved.
Well, no, now one-on-one, no, I'm sorry.
Or, I assume with you and the mayor, you said one was on Zoom and another one was with the mayor. You didn't feel any need to have another public meeting to maybe discuss the changes, especially with the business community? If you change it and it affect them, that's my opinion. I mean, you didn't feel,
I can let the project
No?
manager speak to that. I mean, I'm not the project manager, so that wouldn't have been my duty to line up a public meeting.
So we did contact the environmental section who organizes the public meetings in August of 2020 to see if we needed to do another public meeting. And generally, you have another public meeting whenever you increase impacts. We actually decreased impacts. And we're still doing a roundabout design. So there was nothing that triggered another public meeting. Now, communication is always the best, and,
but
you know.
you're changing the way the design is, which is affecting surrounding businesses. So, and, I mean, I think that triggers, hey, let me go talk to the surrounding businesses. And personally, I mean, our last meeting, this was kind of thrown at us. And now we're kind of digesting all this information and changes and learning about it. I mean, I just think a public meeting would have kind of gave us a heads up, a better understanding. So like he said, we can address our constituents. Secondly, we found out there's a study back in 2012 that you guys are still going by, which is how many years old now? I mean,
There's been three
There's
different
three.
traffic studies.
When was the last
since
one?
that time. 2018.
18, okay. So 12, the last one was in 18. So that's not automatically shared with the city and the council when it's done? We have to
The
request
traffic
that?
studies?
Yeah.
No, sir. That's just part of the engineering.
I can speak to that a little bit. The traffic studies, they have crash data. They have a lot of sensitive information because it's actually crash reports that, you know, could be used in court against the state or in other things. It actually shows the accidents, it shows the diagrams. So that's why we ask for the public information request. It's not something that we can just freely give out because of the sensitive information it's all safety information and justifications.
Now, another thing I guess you need to help me understand. We had a larger roundabout, right? And what Mr. Smith was saying is you're now reducing it. And you stated the ratio is going to stay the same even though we're reducing it, right? The traffic ratio of how it would affect the city would stay the same. How does that make sense if we're reducing it?
The numbers I quoted were from the 2018 study. I didn't review the one from 13 because I felt the data was probably stale by now.
It just seemed like a lot of unanswered questions with this study, this project, how it's affecting the business that's sitting in the audience needs to be answered more clearly to me. And it's being pushed through the city. And as he said, years down the road, we're going to have to come back and address this.
Yeah, and again, like I say, the actual impact to the community is less than the larger roundabout.
And I guess my last statement, I would sum up off of what you said, is if the state saw that it was not feasible to spend whatever amount of $1 million to purchase the property and go with the plan, that they would pack up and go off, run away and not do a plan at all, then let's go back to the drawing board. Put the plan on hold until it is feasible. Or have a public meeting and come up with a plan that does work instead of throwing something out there that may or may not work. That's my personal opinion.
Right, and I understand that concern. It's just, again, all roundabouts function the same way. So it's not like it's not going to work. I mean, it's a roundabout. It's going to do just like the large roundabout. The only difference is the geometry. And the geometry changed just because of what we said, the right-of-way. When Hibernia Bank was there, one of the things, like if you acquire right-of-way through a state and federal project, if you deem that property inaccessible or, you reduce enough parking to where it can't be a viable bank anymore, now you have to buy out the bank. And if you buy out that bank, you're responsible to relocate that bank in another facility that can be a bank. Well, there's not too many facilities that have vaults and.
So it's going to work smoothly if we have St. Peter's traffic there, a delivery coming from Acquista Place, and maybe Renee Fragic with a high clientele. Visualize it.
Right.
I don't know what a peanut roundabout looked like.
It's just a roundabout that's stretched a little bit. It's
Yeah, but a peanut looked like
more
an
an
eight.
oval.
It looks like an 8 to me,
Let
right?
me just say, I had to chuckle, and I think that's, maybe the state doesn't get it, but at least I get it. Round is round. And when it ain't round, it ain't round. And when I asked a simple question of how many of these are in the state of Louisiana, I got 0. And back to Rick Smith's point, and I think it's spot on, and I don't think it's really been answered completely, but I think I kind of get it, is that the roundabout, the original roundabout, had to be changed because it wasn't cost feasible, not because it wasn't the right way to do it. And I think when you look back on this, like I said, this is your wheelhouse, it's not mine, but things ought to be done because it needs to be done and it's going to work. And instead, it's like, well, it might be a little too costly to go in that direction. When you say it didn't affect the community, number one, it affects the community when they don't know about it. Secondly, it affects the community when the business owners around there, their business is impacted. 2 very good businesses. And I'm leaving out the Snowball because I just don't know who owns it. But that's another good one, right? So the idea that it's not a truck route is laughable to me. It's a truck route. If you'd like, we can go sit out there and count the trucks. I'm not being flippant, I'm being honest. It's a truck route. And as far as the chief enforcing it, I got nothing but confidence in that chief of police. But the idea that it's not a truck route is laughable. And the idea that the roundabout is not going to be totally exactly round, and get this, you can go through the middle of it. Right? School buses, you got Christ Episcopal, St. Peter's, St. Paul's, SSA, Covington Elementary, I can go on and on.
William Pitcher.
So 2018 study sounds like they just did it. What's happened since then? A hurricane, more people here, more people living here, more traffic, 20,000, 25,000 cars come a day. I hope it works. but I'm doing my due diligence and asking, and I'm a little disappointed that this council has to find out about it in the mayor's newsletter. I'm an elected official. This is not really directed as much to you, but I shouldn't have to go find information in a newsletter. If there's a Zoom call about what's going on in this city, I think this council should know about it. And that would alleviate a lot of these concerns, okay? I have a lot of faith and confidence in the city administration. But this is something that we would like to ask questions about, and I'm damn sure that there's a lot of constituents that they got questions. You know why? Because they're calling me. I don't work for DOTD. So I'm just expressing a little frustration here because the idea that it's a roundabout day and another one in existence in the state. I hope it works, but I got a lot of concerns about it. I do. And I don't want the project to stop. I just want to make sure that the professionals have done their job to make sure that it will work.
Councilman Ludwig?
Yeah, I just had a quick question for you. The traffic studies that you did, how were they done? Were they done like during peak hours? And what do you consider peak hours?
Yes. Now, I didn't actually do the study.
Right, yeah.
We have traffic engineering section that does that. But yes, it's always, we do 24-hour counts. We count 7 days a week. We isolate those peak periods. We count the trucks. We count the motorcycles. I mean, it's all categorized and spread out based on peak periods. And
Comment. We recognize that it's the state's road, and we're not trying to be rude, of course. We just also, want to make sure that, because it does affect, and we all clearly feel passionately about our city. So, as you know, as a resident, I was actually just curious if did the when I worked for the city prior to council, because obviously this has been going on as we discussed about a decade. The Jack and Nat's gas tank and the EPA was always an issue. Did that factor into anything? I'm just curious.
I'm really not sure. I don't have anybody from real estate, so I don't know what the appraisals were. I just know what they came up to as a total.
Not necessarily property value, but the actual gas tank underneath the ground and that being a safety issue. I didn't know if that was relevant.
Like I say, I can't speak directly to it, but I can make the assumption that when they do an appraisal on a piece of property, like I say with the bank, they look at, the cost of a bank. When they look at a gas station, they do consider underground tanks and those kind of things.
Extract that and everything.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. Either you would have to figure that into the cost and mitigate, if there's any kind of underground leakage or anything like that.
Okay. Because, I think we were told, the city was no longer able to deal with that was strictly a federal environmental issue. So I just wasn't sure. State knows more about it than we do, I would assume.
Yeah, and again, that would have been the real estate section, and unfortunately, I don't have anybody from real estate. So.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I think we covered. I appreciate y'all coming up here, taking all the questions. I think the council,
Thank you.
they covered a lot of ground with this. I think a lot of things were answered. So our council clerk, Ms. Rucker, will make a public records request with DOTD about this matter, and then we'll get more information on that. But we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on. I know you've been patiently waiting. The skate park people in the audience. So Councilman Verrett.
All
why don't you
right.
Introduce them.
Let's
Thanks for
bring,
your patience, by the way.
Let's bring Cameron McKnight and Andy up. And talking about a feel-good night, I was approached about the idea that a skate park might be as, well, address it to the council chairman. Larry?
No, not if it's not on the agenda.
No,
Would
he's
have to
saying,
open-
no, he's
I'm
saying the DOTD was on the agenda and he wanted to comment on it before the young men spoke.
Okay, I apologize. We would have to open the agenda, and it has to be unanimous to yeah, it's not a public hearing. It's not like something we voted on. We're voting on tonight.
But I'd like to comment if I can, if y'all don't want me to.
We would have to open the agenda. I think last time Adam was here, he was on the agenda and he spoke about this issue. We can actually put you on the agenda next month if you'd like to do that. Hope I didn't misunderstand anything. Thank you. Appreciate your understanding.
Renee, if you want to, let me know, put you on the agenda. All right.
Thank you. Thanks for your understanding.
Apologize for that. All right, so I was approached about the possibility of a skate park in the city of Covington, and I began to look at it. And you know what? It goes back to what Councilman Lewis said earlier about doing things, thinking outside the box, looking at our youth, things for them to do that are beneficial, that are good, that are wholesome, that is fun, right? Instead of everybody talking about bad things and roundabouts and peanut amounts, I want to talk about a skate park. So when I was approached, I said, look, this is Civics 101, is it not? You make a good presentation to me. Come speak before the council, come speak to the mayor, and come speak to the citizens of Covington about your idea. So, gentlemen, have at it.
Thank you, Mr. Mark. The citizens of Covington have been wanting a skate park since they were 2 years old, 3 years old. They've been dreaming of it. I've had so many people come up to me and text me saying how much of a good idea this is. And it really would be a fantastic thing for the community to get the youth to come together and everything. So why a skate park? A skate park is a safe place for people to enjoy any extreme sport. Skate parks have been growing across the United States faster and faster over the last 30 years, but slowly in Louisiana. The skate parks that are available are very well spread apart across the state. For example, I have to drive 25 miles to go to a skate park from North Covington to Mandeville, which is a crazy expensive drive because the gas prices are now $5, and that's not helping anybody in this situation. Skateboarding itself has grown tremendously over the last 25, 30 years. Same with scooters, bikes, rollerblades, etc. All these great sports have good benefits for health and exercise. The global skateboard market was estimated around $196 billion in 2019 and is estimated to reach $2.38 billion by 2025, which can be a lot of economic value to bring to the city, including skate shops, people to go eat, etc. In St. Tammany, everybody who lives north or east has to drive so far, almost to Slidell, just for a skate park. Like I said, the gas prices are $5 a gallon, which doesn't help anybody. I have some comments that people have said because I started a petition online, and it has gotten over 300 signatures, and I gave Mr. Mark the list of everybody who has signed it. There's 216 people from Louisiana alone that has signed it and has reached people all the way to Los Angeles. Everybody wants a skate park for their community, and I think it would be a fantastic idea. The latest skate park petitions include Lafayette, Slidell, and Ruston Skate Park. Tomorrow is the meeting for the Slidell Skate Park, so I'm hoping that we can actually do something about Covington instead of having me drive all the way to, or anybody else drive all the way to Slidell just for a skate park. Skate park facts. Skate parks actually reduce crime in the area. Studies shown that it also reduces physical damage to private properties and people who skate in front of businesses and sidewalks in downtown Covington. And skate parks definitely will help younger kids before getting themselves into trouble. They can start skateboarding or do something else with their time. So I think that would be a good idea. I actually have a few suggestions of where to put it. One being Ozone Park. I don't really see too much stuff happening over there. It's just in a field, and it has parking. It's owned by the city of Covington, and it's not far from downtown, which is pretty good. They also have a field right down the street. It's 28th and North Van Buren, and it's the middle of downtown, and that's another good place to put it. Same with the lot right across the street from the school board, which would be a great spot. I mean, people play soccer and all kinds of stuff, but everybody needs a place to do something. So in conclusion, so many local skaters, BMX riders, and scooter riders want a place locally that is in favor of anyone who rides anything. Local residents and kids who can't drive to Mandeville need a place that's a walk, a push, or a bike ride away. The community has been wanting this for years. What are we waiting for?
I don't know the rules, but can I add to that?
Nope.
Okay, well, look, you did a great job, Cameron.
Andy? Yeah.
Andy?
All right, so as Cameron was saying, this will not only include availability for skaters, we include rollerbladers, scooter riders like Cameron himself. So skaters, we don't want to be a nuisance, and that's what people think we are. I mean, skating on the street is not safe, and I don't want to have to skate on the street because there's just nothing for kids to do around here. And it would be a cost reduction for liability for the city, as general liability insurance for a skate park for $1 to $2 million plans is only $97 to $193 per month. That would save a lot. And instead, building on what Cameron said, instead of having people go to Hammond, they're gonna go shop in the mall in Hammond. They're gonna go eat in Hammond. We could have people come to Covington from around here, eat in Covington, go to Columbia Street Mercantile, eat at St. John's, and we could build on our tourism, which is already booming, especially around the Mardi Gras season. We could build on our tourism. Another spot that we could include in that, in his suggestions, would be Bogafly Wayside Park. Land is already owned by the city. There's a gate that locks at 7, so we won't have to worry about anyone getting in at 2 a.m., doing something they shouldn't be. And that's the aspect I was looking for, was just trying to reduce crime. Building on what the DA wants, we could reduce crime by building a skate park in Covington. Because we're getting off the streets before they can get into the system, before they can go to jail, before they can be in cuffs, because that's what we want. We don't want to be a nuisance. We don't want to start crime. We just want a park where kids can go have something to do after school.
Okay, I think we had some comments. Councilman Boxer?
Yeah, I'm actually the councilman for District B where the ozone field's at, and the mayor and myself have been working on it. We've actually started a ball field out there, but we do have a lot more space, and we're going to be hopefully working together to develop that area, and I think a skate park would go great in there. So that's, that area has been long overdue for a facelift and upgrade and stuff like that, and like I said, the current administration and myself have started work on that project, and there's no reason that we can't put something together with including your skate park for next year and start looking at building that out.
Okay, Councilwoman Ludwig.
I just want to say also, y'all are very brave, and that's awesome for public speaking. I know a lot of adults are scared to do that, so thank y'all for coming. Also, yeah, so I'm super involved with the Boys and Girls Club. They do wonderful things. Also, CYSA, big advocate on kids, and I think activities after school keeps them out of trouble, helps them keep their grades up, social things, all that good stuff. And just like I think you had said that, yeah, I mean, everyone needs a place to play. So just because lacrosse is big and soccer's big and baseball and everything is wonderful, but there's a whole nother demographic out there. So I think that's awesome. We want to be inclusive to everyone. So I don't think anyone is up here is necessarily opposed to it that I know of. I think we have room, hopefully, in our budget for something like this, and we're very open to it. So thank you for bringing it before us. And sometimes it's just a matter of kind of, we're not in like the skater mindset all the time. So we're not thinking like in the budget, let's build a skate park. But we need, citizens and young people especially to get involved and engaged and present things like that to us. So thank you. Sounds great.
Councilman Barrett.
Look, let me tell you what. You two gentlemen are doing what you need to do. You believe in it. You had the courage to come do it. You get the recognition for doing that. You hear this council is supportive of things to do for the youth in this community. There's the mayor. Go knock on his door tomorrow. And look, thank everybody for coming out, because that's what changes things, right? For the better. So anyway, they did give me, right before the meeting, a petition of over 300 signatures. And by the looks of this going around the state, I'm positive you could get more. Keep it up. Let's get it in the budget. I'm announcing that I'm for it, and I hope everybody else will support it as well.
Councilman Lewis.
Wow, I don't know what to say. I mean, because when I ran for the youth and the elderly in my community, and I've been preaching that with this council for a while. So hands down to you guys. Thank you for coming out. As I told you earlier, tell your friends, tell the rest of your youth, come to us with what you need for this community. That's what's going to keep Covington going in the right direction, because the youth is what we need. Anything I can do to help you guys, I'm there. And you are absolutely right. We need stuff for the youth to do. That's what's going to change the negativity and the violence in the city of Covington. We had it when I was growing up. I've preached that many times. Now we need to give it back to you guys. So I definitely applaud you guys for asking for the skate park. Because as I said, I've traveled many places, far away and local. And the city of Covington seems to be the only spot that's lacking activity for kids. Every Saturday when I go to school now, I pass Z. Mary Park. And they have a wonderful pool, a wonderful skate park, and many other things in there. And I wonder to myself, why don't City of Covington have that? We seem to be doing just as well as them. When I go to North Carolina and I see what they have, or Slidell, they have things that's geared to the youth. I don't know what the ratio is with the violence, but I know somebody's sitting there behind a council desk or in the mayor's office and saying, well, let me focus on the youth because they're going to take my seat when I'm gone, so I need to train them and keep them off the street. But you had your essay and your presentation was well written, and I think it spoke on the right topics, that we need to get them off the street, give them something to do. And as a council and administration, we need to not do what the last presentation was about and always think about money over what's more important for our community. In my opinion, we do need to put it in the budget. And if it costs too much and we can't afford it in the budget, then we need to go to Miss Aaron and say, Aaron, go find us a grant so we can get it done. Right? But again, I applaud you guys. Thank you so much for coming out, because that's what we've been waiting for. And now that you've told this council and the administration and the public's here, we know what you want. And if it don't work in the ozone, I'm sure I got a spot somewhere in District A or District B or somewhere where it'll work. So we look forward to working with you guys.
And Larry, let me just say this. How about this? Let's not wait a year. Let's not wait a year. Let's find a place, let's get moving on it, and let's put it on a priority thing. How's that, gentlemen?
I have one more thing I want to say. When we didn't really talk about the cost of skate parks a lot. It's not much more than the house per square foot. We're looking about $250 to $500 per square foot. So it won't be much more than your house was, and its dimensions probably aren't as big as your house. 2,500 to 4,000. Well, it won't be the cheapest thing ever, but it's close to your house.
Well, I think, one of the things, this is City Council, we need to see what Slidell's doing. They're voting on
Absolutely.
something tomorrow. They've probably done a lot of homework and probably have
Good idea.
plans and et cetera. So that might kind of streamline this deal. And you guys-
Hopefully
you
it's
guys are good,
concrete.
and thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you. Great presentation. Okay, moving on to the consent calendar. Regular meeting minutes, February 1st, 2022. Introduction of item number 2022-0301, an ordinance of the City of Covington amending the development agreement between the City of Covington and Privet Family LLC, that's Councilman Smith. Also, introduction item number 2022-0302, an ordinance of the City of Covington to amend the 2022 operating and capital budget, that's also Councilman Smith. I need a motion to accept the consent calendar.
Motion to accept.
I need a second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Botsford,
Yes.
Councilman Roberts, Councilwoman Ludwig,
Yes.
Councilman Barrett,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Rowling,
Yes.
Councilman Lewis.
All right, thank you very much. The regular agenda, let's see. Item number 1, public hearing and action item number 2022-0201, an ordinance of the City of Covington amending the Covington Code of Ordinances, Chapter 90, taxation to add Article 5, St. Tammany Parish sales and use tax uniform collections procedures. Councilman Smith.
Okay, guys and girls. We have a pretty good understanding how sales tax is collected, correct? I mean, we have the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office. They're basically a collector. This is just an amendment to what we've been doing, okay? And it is something that is kind of necessary to meet the procedures, okay? It's just an amendment, it's an addition to the laws that we had been following anyhow. So I kind of read through it, looked through it, spoke to Erin. She said, we got any questions that I can't answer, which I think I can answer them, but Rod said, Rod, you're pretty familiar with this.
When we adopted the previous two sales tax ordinances, the sales tax ordinances have within the body of the ordinance certain collection procedures. Those sales taxes date back all the way to the 1950s. The state of Louisiana adopted a statute that provided for uniform sales tax collection procedures to be statewide. And the sheriff has asked that we adopt or recognize that the state has now had a uniform collection procedure that they will use. It assists the sheriff because they may have a variety of forms of different ordinances implementing sales taxes in all the various municipalities. And this is going to allow them to have one uniform collection procedure to follow. And we're doing it at the recommendation of the sheriff, but in fact, there is an ordinance adopted by the state providing for this uniform procedure that we are merely adopting.
All right. That's exactly how I was going to explain it, in case y'all have any questions. No, but in essence, it's the same collection with a little bit added benefit to the sheriff, making it a little bit more structured and more, concise as to how the money gets to us. Okay?
Yeah, the only question I would have, I guess, would be how we handled that previous thing where they actually gave us too much because of this, that, and the other. Will that? No, that has nothing to do with this one? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Okay, before we get to council comments, we're going to open the public hearing on this. Anyone from the public that would like to speak on behalf of this? Seeing none? Okay. Seeing none? Okay, we're going to go right into council comments. Anything else added? Rod, we appreciate you explaining everything on that. Any objection for close the public hearing? I need a motion.
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion to adopt, please.
Motion to adopt.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Ludwig,
Yes.
Councilman Verret,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Rowling,
Yes.
Councilman Lewis,
Yes.
Councilman Botsford.
Yes.
All right. Next, new business. Resolution number 2022-02, a resolution of the City of Covington Council confirming the appointment of Mr. Philip Rapp as the Council District at-large appointment to the Covington Planning and Zoning Commission to fill an unexpired term. Councilman Smith.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Phil Rapp, he's expressed great interest in serving our city as a member of the Planning and Zoning Committee. I've known Phil and his wife for some time now. They bought a home in 2008 over in the Savannas, I believe. He's been very involved. Phil retired from Pacific Gulf Marine in 2014 after 38 years of service. And currently, he is serving as the Savannas Homeowner Association president. He's also serving as a secretary for the Benedict Men's Club. Previously, he had served 2 terms as the chairman for District 6 Gravity Drainage Board. I believe he was appointed by the late parish councilman Dennis Sharp. But anyway, Phil has always been active, and he's been involved, and he's been concerned about growth and quality of life for people that live here and businesses, et cetera. And it dawned on me that he might be the guy that this Planning and Zoning Committee needs. So without further ado, I would like to present at-large appointee and hope that you guys are willing to ask him questions and agree to confirm him. Phil, you don't have to speak, but if you'd like to, you can come up to the podium and say a few words and maybe take a question or two.
As long as I don't get 5 minutes.
There you go.
He pretty much summed it up. I moved over here from the West Bank in 2008. I've always been active on the West Bank. I'm just that type of person. I like to know what's going on and who's where and who's doing what. When Rick called me, I expressed an interest in this position, and I look forward to serving if you folks feel the same way.
Philip, we definitely think you're the best man for the job, no doubt about it. We appreciate your involvement in the community. I know as long as I've been knowing you, you've always been involved and have the interest and the best interest of the neighbors, and we appreciate that, and the citizens of Covington. Before we go to council comments, we'll go right to see if we can, we'll go right into public comments and then go back to council before we vote, if that's okay. We're going to open the public, well, we don't have to open the public hearing. Anybody from the public would like to talk on behalf of this resolution? Mayor.
What a great choice.
Okay, thank you. All right, that being said, we're going to go ahead and go to council comments. Anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this?
I'd
before we
like
go
to
the
add one
motion?
thing. This is an unexpired term, okay, that Philip's agreeing to serve. And that term would start from the time we confirm him, and it would end June 30th, 2024. And he knows that, and we've discussed it, and he's excited about it. That's all of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Verret?
Let me just say, and I won't be as brief, although I could probably and probably should be, but this is your moment, is I can think of no better choice than you for this position and now. And I thank you for wanting it. I thank you for accepting it. And I thank this council for recognizing what a great choice it is. So thank you.
Councilman Boxford?
Yes. Well, as Phil knows, I also serve on the Savannah's board with Phil. I've been there for a long time now. There's nothing that Phil lets get slip past him. He's a stickler for details. So I think when it comes to looking at our planning and zoning and everything like that, Phil is going to give it his best attention, and that he's going to do it fairly and with a good conscience about what is best for Covington. And I'd like to welcome him to the board.
Thank you. Anything else from the council? Okay, we need a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Ludwig,
Yes.
Councilman Verret,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Rowling,
Yes.
Councilman Lewis,
Yes.
Councilman Botsford.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can I say a few more words?
Yes, of course.
Thank you, Councilman Rick, for nominating me. Thank you all for appointing me. I look forward to working with the other members and being of service to the city of Covington.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, sir.
Need a
Thank you.
We
swear.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay. Moving on. Resolution number 2022-03, a resolution of the Covington City Council authorizing the use of a portion of the unconstructed right-of-way on South Pierce Street between West 19th Avenue and West 20th Avenue as a driveway. Councilwoman Ludwig.
Yeah, so this is just something pretty routine that we do often, from what I understand. Rod, would you want to say anything else, or whoever? Do you have anything, or do you want to explain that a little bit further? I understand it's just pretty routine, the driveway.
What we've done historically is when you have a public street, that's a public street by dedication, and the street is unopened, the street's not subject currently to public maintenance, we allow the council to authorize someone to enter our property to do a driveway or whatever they're going to do. And historically, we've come before y'all for you to give your consent to the use of public property.
Okay. Before we go to council comments, anyone from the public? Council comments, anything before we vote?
I just had a question. So this is for them to use it, not own it?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
They would have to petition for us to revoke it,
Okay,
for them to own it. This is merely to cross our property.
okay.
And as far as I know, the city, all city departments, fire department, public works department, those are the two most important I'm thinking of. They've got no issues with this. And anything that this family would like to do to take out trees or whatever, they gotta go through the permit department, et cetera. So there's no objections from those departments that would be involved.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get a right-of-way permit, and
Right.
if they're gonna do any real types of roadway improvements, they theoretically need to get their plans approved by the city engineer as to what they're doing. And also, the Public Works Director has input that they don't adversely affect any underground utilities or any drainage.
Thanks for adding that, Councilman Smith. Anything else? Okay, I need a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Councilman Verret,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilman Rowling,
Yes.
Councilman Lewis, Councilman Botsford,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ludwig.
Yes.
Okay. Next, resolution number 2022-03, a resolution of the Covington City Council authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment with Covington Community Garden for creation and maintenance of an educational community garden on city property. Councilman Lewis.
I guess just to be brief about it, this, This garden will be one of 2 gardens that's come about in the city of Covington. The first one we heard about from Ms. Pamela, and the second one, after meeting with Mr. Tim a while back, had discussed interest in creating a second garden and teaming up with Pine View and also the mayor and administration to create a bigger garden that include the school, the students, for educational purposes, and also kind of doing the same thing with what Ms. Pam was doing. And it seemed to be a good program, and I hope that it goes well. So I'm going to let the mayor take it from here.
Thank you, Councilman. I wanted to do a little bit of one of my little kind of reach back a little back in time and give a little bit of history on this concept of the community gardens as they apply to our community here in Covington. During the latter half of the 20th century, many of our residents lamented about the quality of life or the lack thereof of our black community. Mustn't someone do something? Taking the lead in 2009, the North Shore Community Foundation set in motion the process of creating a plan that would identify the challenges and the possible solutions. City officials were a key part of this process, but the real input and solutions would come from the community, not from the government. Months of meetings, discussions, and conscious thought by residents, concerned citizens, and city officials led to the West 30s Revitalization Plan. I'm not how sure I am many of you have seen this. It's a big plan. It's a big plan. The list of participants reads like a who's who in Covington and the neighborhood at that moment in time. Councilman Lee Alexis, Reverend Catherine Amity, Randy Altman, our own Nikita Bagby, Mary Ann Bayham, Councilman Trey Blackhall, Hattie Brown, Andrew Bullard, Charlotte Bullard, the late Reverend Mallory Callahan, Tim Carpenter, Robert Celestine, Scott Chotan, Maureen Clary, Vera Clay, the late Edgar Cretin, Melvin Magic Crockett, Betty Cronin, Councilwoman Frances Dunn, Ionian Garrett, Tammy Groover, Carmeletta Guy, Cindy Hardlin, Jesse Hartley, Michael Hunley, Mark Johnson, Lucinda Keller, Dick Knight, Greg Longino, Horace Martin, the late Horace Martin, Jim McKee, Mallory Mealy, Rob Mingo, Sheila Page, Leslie Patton, Bernard Penn, Mary Regan, Jesse Richardson, Jan Robert, Kenneth Robertson, Glenn Robinson, D'Artagnan Sanders, Jeff St. Romain, Wayne Thompson, Lonnie Tucker, Sequita Walker, Mayor Candace Watkins, Marilyn Wenzel, Reverend Alfred Young, and the Reverend Nate Young. I tell you all of this to tell you this. This was a serious effort done by the community and the neighborhood to outline specific steps that could be taken to improve the quality of life of the residents. Recently, the council received a list emailed from former Councilwoman Frances Dunn on almost 30 actions that have been implemented from this plan, from repairing existing homes and adding trash barrels in the neighborhood to building the basketball courts at Peter Atkins Park with a cover, new restrooms, the Groves, and now a pediatric clinic on Columbia Street. We, the city, and the community continue to implement parts of this plan: litter abatement, attack on illegal dumping, and the removal of unrecoverable abandoned homes, all part of the plan. Construction of new affordable homes for purchase rather than for rent. The challenge for this, according to the West 30s Revitalization Plan, is a $50,000 gap between the cost of a new home and the financial capability of the resident. Through a partnership with First Bank and Trust, Bank Plus, and Fidelity Bank, the West 30s Redemption Company has been able to close this gap with a $3 million fund that allows residents who would be unable to qualify for traditional financing to purchase a home, build their credit, and begin earning equity for themselves and for the next generation. So far, 31 families have been blessed by this program. By the end of this year, we're expected for that to exceed over 50, all part of the plan. Also, per the West 30s Revitalization Plan, and this is a quote, while an ideal scenario would allow the city to hire additional police officers and assign them to the West 30s area, that may not be a fiscally realistic scenario. Regardless of funding, an increased police presence should be a goal. But we did it. With the support of Councilman Lewis and Botsford, Councilman Roberts, Rowling, Verrett, Councilman Ludwig, and then Councilwoman Diane Weiss, we funded a police pay raise that has allowed the administration to go from 13 patrol officers, when we should have had 26, to a fully staffed department of 26 officers. Under the leadership of Chief Mike Farrell, the patrols and active engagement in the neighborhood have increased significantly. We try to keep 2 officers in the area at all times. This has led to the arrest of some of the troublemakers. Many of the others have felt unwelcome and thus moved out of the area. The gratitude often shared by the residents to me and to our officers is very much appreciated. An example of this was this past Mardi Gras Day. 2 years ago, I had visited the Mardi Gras celebration on 30th Avenue, and shortly after leaving, some knuckleheads had come through on motorcycles, popping wheelies and cutting donuts. I instructed PD to have officers on hand this year to watch for unsafe behavior. This past Tuesday, our officers observed 5 males entering a crowd with guns. They were able to apprehend 3, all from another parish, and all with a beef with one of our local residents. Congratulations to these men and women that helped avert this disaster. Why all this background? Why all this information? Because the idea of community gardens derives directly from the socioeconomic section of the plan as developed by the aforementioned people. An entire page of the program is devoted to community gardens. Councilwoman, as Ms. Pamela mentioned earlier, Councilwoman Frances Dunn initiated the first garden near Bogachita Park. As she tells it, it failed. Pamela McKay and her God's Unchanging Hands ministry eventually took over and enjoyed success. One day, I got a call from a man I'd never met before. He asked for an appointment. I met with Tim Elsey, a retired Shell Oil engineer, and he unfurled this set of plans. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a color-coded drawing of a community garden that only an engineer would take the time to do. I showed him the garden at Bogachita Park, which at that time was dormant, and that's all it took. Working with Pamela, the LSU Ag Center, Eagle Scouts, St. Paul's woodworking students, volunteers, and children, the garden flourished. Produce was grown and given away. Children's days were held, as well as educational classes. I realized we should consider other locations for gardens. I thought Nose Park would be a great location. But when Councilman Verrett and I met with the neighbors interested in Nose Park, they recognized the amount of attention and organization a garden requires to be successful and preferred not to pursue. They did want a new oval track, which was recently completed and is a wonderful place for youngsters to ride their bikes and rollerblade. Did y'all catch that? Nice little. Really, it really is. I didn't realize how important it was to that neighborhood for the 5, 6, and 7-year-olds to be able to go ride their little bikes in the park and never have to go out on the streets. Really a nice thing. Being a country boy, I recognize an important part of farming is full sun. Tucking a garden away on a vacant lot surrounded by a tree canopy is not a good idea. Hence, the triangular site directly in front of Pineview Middle School jumped out at me. 4th, 5th, and 6th graders able to walk out the front door of their class to a field. They help plant, they help harvest, they help clean and learn to cook healthy produce. The school administration is very excited. On page 61 of the plan, it states, with the possible exception of the land, the most critical element in implementation is an organization to manage the program. It is very important to have someone with desire, expertise, and lots of time overseeing the garden for it to be successful. Fortunately, we have the perfect scenario. Pamela McKay continues to oversee the existing garden at Bogachita. We reshuffle Tim Elsey to the Pineview Middle location with the job of kicking off this new garden. Mr. Elsey, in typical engineer fashion, has tackled this project as if it were the Shell Oil Mars Gulf of Mexico platform of the 1990s. You didn't know I knew that, did you? Then enters government. Chief Administrative Officer Aaron Bavona comes to me and rightfully points out that if we, the city, or a supporting partner of a community garden that requires outside organization and supervision, a cooperative endeavor agreement should be executed.
Yes,
And thank you for being here. Erin is quite under the weather this evening.
but I'm
You've
here.
seen her, but she's
Sorry.
here, and really appreciate her support. Thank you.
So, Mayor Mark is correct, and I've worked with Mr. Elzey, and tonight was also an opportunity for me to discuss with Ms. McKay entering into cooperative endeavor agreements for both gardens. And this is consistent with how we have handled other partnerships with community service providers. Like if you look at our budget, which all have adopted as part of the budget, working with the Boys and Girls Club, the Children's Advocacy Center, the community, the Covington Concert Band, we're trying to get CEAs in place for all of those organizations. So anywhere that city resources are utilized to partner with another organization or to fund an organization, we're trying to get a CEA in place. So that's the government part of it. Thank you.
And I would like to say that Mr. Elzey is here if you'd like to visit with him for a few minutes.
We gonna, oh, okay. We're gonna ask for public comment, so he can come up? Yeah.
Thank you. You have questions, or do you want me to just talk?
It's just public comments, so
Okay.
if anything you would like to talk about on behalf of this?
Mayor Mark said, I have a passion around growing vegetables, growing, planting. More so, I have more of a passion around teaching children how to grow vegetables. Not only grow, but how they can eat healthy from those things that they grow. I think it's important. I think it's an art that's being lost in the generations that are coming, simply because you can go to the grocery store and buy whatever you need. But so I think it's important for them to learn that just how fragile the food supply is in our country, in our world. So what better way than to teach them from day one how to plant, how to grow, how to harvest, how to clean, how to prepare the food, and then how to cook it, and how they can eat healthy from the food that they grow. So, you know, the children's one thing, but I think it's also important for adults to maybe come back to that, and maybe it's a lost art on their part, and to come back and see that, hey, I can actually do this in my yard if I can, you know, and have an example for it there. The garden is also not just about growing vegetables. I think more importantly, it's about community. And a garden is an excellent venue, if you will, to bring people together. You know, and for the city of Covington to come together and support this, I think is a great deal. We have done a lot of work in the last probably 3-4 months in groundwork getting this to this point. We're just waiting on a green light to go. So any questions you might have? I didn't get into the nuts and bolts. If you want to talk nuts and bolts about this, we can do that.
If the council has any questions for Mr. Elzey, that's fine.
I do have a question. First of all, you know, I think I met you once or twice, and been very pleasant meeting you. And I love your ideas and your love for gardening. My father used to garden all the time. I have questions about maybe just two general that you may or may not know. If you don't, just say you don't know. Before there was 2 gardens, there was 1. And I know there was maybe some grant money received to fund one of the gardens. Do we know where that grant money went?
I have no idea. I don't even know what you're talking about for grant money.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not.
My other question is, has there been any supplies moved from Garden 1 to Garden 2?
No.
That you know of? Okay. All right, that's all I have for you. Thanks, but thanks though for your service. And when you do get started with the garden, please let me know, keep me informed, because I'd like to be involved in yours also.
Sure. Yep. I'll let all of y'all know.
Anything else from Mr. Elzey?
I just wanted to say you're very well spoken on the subject, no notes. Your passion is coming through. And when I heard what this is, I've seen the garden. We thought we might do one in Nose Park, but I mean, I think it's great. Who is going to disagree with that, right? Except for the fact that nobody else is doing it. So thank you.
Okay,
No, I
Mr.
was
Box-
just going to say real quick, I think that's a great idea that you're doing this, and I think once you get these kids to taste actually fresh vegetables that were grown versus store-bought vegetables and stuff like that, you'll win them over. So, thanks.
I think Councilman Lewis has some comment.
Yeah, this one may be for Aaron. I noticed in the contract, and I just want to clarify, it's on 2.4, it says city shall maintain its liability insurance currently in effect for the site. That's just for the city property.
Yes, because the city owns that property.
Yeah, we have to have it. It's our property.
Okay. Now, will he be required to get the same liability insurance as Part 1? And I'm calling them Part 1 and 2.
You're saying the one that's at Bogachita Park?
Right.
So we have an agreement with the property owner to operate and maintain that park. And so I believe that that does transfer as well, correct?
And let me clarify, when we
We have
met,
a lease agreement.
when we had a committee meeting, and I think the mayor was present, she was told she had to get her own separate insurance along with the city liability insurance.
I'd have to
Is
look
that-
into that. And like I told you, I just met Ms. McKay tonight, and I just started working on her agreement,
Right.
hoping to introduce that next month for your consideration. So I haven't looked into the details yet, but that'll be a consideration.
Okay.
In other words, the property that this proposal concerns is already our property. It's already under our insurance because we own it. We're not adding any insurance. We have a comprehensive general liability policy on all of the insurance, all of the property of the city. So it's not as if we're going and buying another insurance policy. We're just acknowledging that we're going to keep our insurance.
However, just let me say, the intent is to treat them both consistently in that regard.
Okay.
Anything else? We appreciate you. I know Ms. Pam does a great job, too. I think the city of Covington is very lucky to have both of y'all in your interest and your passion for this, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Any additional council comments? Okay. We're going to go right into, I need a motion to accept, please.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilman Rowling?
Yes.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes.
Councilman Botsford?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ludwig?
Yes.
Councilman Verret?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go right into comments and reports. District A, Councilman Lewis.
Oh, let's see where I start. First of all, I guess I would like to say, thank everybody for coming out, and I appreciate everything everybody done for this past Mardi Gras. Larry, I saw you and Amy out there working diligently. Yeah, it seemed to go pretty much well this last time compared to prior years. I just heard a big, long background about the community garden, which brought up Mardi Gras, which I'm not sure how that compared to it. But I want to apologize to some of the constituents in my district, and I think I border John district, for what happened this past Mardi Gras. I feel like for myself and representing that district, I owe them an apology. And I'm going to leave that right there and move forward from there. Next thing on my list is we have on Sunday, May 1st, in Bogachita Park, they're going to be hosting a Black Nick first annual at the park. Food, drink, vendors, anybody's welcome. If you want to be involved, call Danielle Fabre, 985-334-0632. The VFW and Project Blessing will be hosting what we call an adult prom. So if you wasn't popular in school, didn't go to your prom, now's the chance. Look at Verret over there, look. So we'll be at the VFW on Ronald Reagan Highway. More information, contact Miss Tiffany. She's sitting in the audience right there. I think it'll be fun, you guys. So her contact number is 985-710-5699. It'll be April 30th. That's a Saturday, starting at 7 p.m. Our next one is Saturday, April 16th. We will be at Reverend Atkins Park. Starting at 9 a.m., it's going to start over the nature walk. And it'll probably lead from Peter Atkins Park to, I'm sorry I don't have the complete details, but from Peter Atkins Park to the Booger Flyer Park, then back to Peter Atkins Park. And we'll have events, Easter egg hunt, kids, games, live music, entertainment, free cancer, health screening, COVID vaccine, Moderna for ages 5 and under, Easter egg hunt, mental health education, and that's being hosted by Mr. Bryant, who's sitting over in the audience there. Also teaming up with myself, Starlight Church, and some other vendors, companies that will be hosting it there April 16th, starting at 9 a.m., Peter Atkins Park. And as you can see, guys, we got some things going on, so y'all need to get involved. All right, Covington Recreation Department do still have registration going on for T-ball, baseball. I know the flyer said the date was March 2nd, but I did talk to Kelly. She said she would still take registration. So if you know anybody ages 4 to 15, go ahead and call Kelly at the Covington Rec Department, get them registered. Oh, and I have raffle tickets for the upcoming Chef Soiree. I'm looking at it, can't read it. Chef Soiree, you got Chef Soiree coming up March 20th, Sunday at the Booger Flyer Park. Bounce Back Nutrition will be there again, along with a ton of other vendors. We had fun. I hope you guys come out. The tickets are 4 for $100 or $25 each. This year they have, again, another Ford Mustang or Bronco, the new version, not the old one we had back in the days. But you guys should go out and support it. It's a good event. Yeah, that was a good one. And my last one is Juneteenth 2022 has already been in the planning. I've teamed up again with the VFW, Tiffany, Ravish Boutique, Southern Hotel, NAACP, One Covington, of course, the city of Covington and its wonderful administration. I'm sure Covington PD will be there, Ever After Boutique, and I will be reaching out to Crystal Place, who's always very helpful to us. Many places of worship in the city of Covington for this year's Juneteenth event. The plan for this year is, of course, our annual Freedom Parade. We are trying to host a fashion show for the youth and give them some type of prize so they can be more involved. Host a battle of the bands and do a social night for the adults. So we will be meeting again this Monday at my place of business right across the street, Bounce Back Nutrition. Everybody is welcome to be involved. I encourage you to, including the youth, and help make this a very fun event again. That's it. Joanne, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Councilman Boxford.
All right, District B, we have my favorite part of that. One of them is the food bank, and their averages for February, 94 daily households, 106 daily boxes. Total for February was 1,320 total households and 1,489 total boxes. 2021 comparison, February average was 136. Average daily boxes 151. So it's come down a little bit, but there's still always things needed. We all know that this is the Lenten season, so a lot of people are giving stuff up. So the food bank says one good thing to give up would be food items, to go ahead and bring them food items. That would be a great thing, and they would really appreciate that. So there's that. If anybody wants to do any type of food drives, please contact Ginger. It's GKUNKLE at northshorefoodbank.org. March most needed items, of course, are the dietary T2 diabetic food boxes. These items include unsweetened box cereal, oatmeal, no to low salt, canned vegetables, preferably spinach and okra. Upcoming to look forward to is Yoga in the Warehouse, Thursday, March 10th. Doors open for networking at 5:30 p.m. Yoga class courtesy of Bayou Yoga is at 6 p.m. And complimentary class food or monetary donations are appreciated. Their annual North Shore Food Bank Golf Tournament, Tuesday, March 10th at Beauchamp Country Club. Individual and team golfer registration available. Corporate sponsorships are still available. And also I wanted to mention Covington Point. We're working on the main bridge that comes in on Gratitude Drive off Collins Boulevard. It's still closed at this time. We're working as fast as we can. The administration has already got crews out there looking at it. They've got an idea of what's going to happen with it. Good thing is from what I took from it, is that the bridge itself is intact, so that's good. It's just basically the aprons that come off on one side, actually towards the Covington Point subdivision side, that needs to be repaired. So,
If you don't mind me interjecting.
Sure.
With an update, which is going to be going out into the neighborhood tomorrow.
yes.
I hope tomorrow. We have, the Public Works has peeled back the road, was able to inspect it. Our engineer and Public Works director were able to contact a contractor, have him come out and assess it. This afternoon, we got a price, or this morning, today, we got a price from the contractor. It was acceptable, and we executed an emergency requisition order to start construction. So the city has done everything we can do on our end. I don't know exactly when, the contractor got the contract this afternoon, so I don't know when he's going to start or how long it's going to take him to finish. But kudos to engineering and Public Works, because they just rocked and rolled on this. They ain't playing around, so good stuff.
Yeah, and I noticed, I also got an update that some of the cost and the materials was actually, according to our engineering department, they came up with the idea of using some of the concrete they're going to crush out for the riprap, so I think that's a great idea. That's going to save us some money. But hopefully this will be a mild inconvenience, but it's a safety concern, so it's a great project. And the last thing I would have to say is that I want to wish Councilman Peter Lewis a happy birthday for March 7th. It's his birthday. And I just wanted to bring that. That's what it says. It says your birthday's March 7th.
That's my son's birthday.
Oh, your son's birthday. My son's birthday. Well, wish his son a happy birthday then.
Like what?
Surprise!
Yeah. And that's it for District B. Just to move on from that, Joey couldn't be here tonight, and he had a previous engagement with his job, and so he's, helping out some kids, so that's always a great thing. He said, please accept his apology for not being president. His job tends to put him in places that he can hopefully help make a difference in the community, and sometimes those days conflict with others. This is one of those times. Please know I hold myself to a better standard and apologize for my absence. We all know he would be here if he could. That's his Joey. First, I'd like to start by saying what an amazing Mardi Gras was in Covington. Kudos to everybody that was involved. He won't go into great detail, but it's probably to be mentioned, he said, but I'd like to say thank you for the police presence throughout the city. Our CPD was very visible, along with units from the Sheriff's Department. Also, our kids' costume contest was a great success with over 20 participants. The judges had their hands full, but the top 3 were chosen and walked away with trophies and prizes. Special thanks to Quistapesa Supermarket for their sponsorship and support of the event. District C projects continue to be ongoing and progressive moving forward. The 11th Street Bridge repair is a concern due to the time frame quoted, but he's glad that the work is being addressed and completed regardless. And that's it for District C.
Thank you, sir. Double duty, right?
Yep.
Tonight. Okay, Councilwoman Ludwig.
I'll keep it brief. I know everyone's tired and hungry. Sorry, maybe that's just me. The hospital in my district, obviously COVID is being well managed. They currently have 9 in COVID care. Melissa said they also have 3 new technology agreements that they're very excited about. It enables, the first one enables lung cancer diagnosis. The second speeds the rate at getting new diagnostics with a new image machine. And the third is a neurosurgical robotic system that allows neurosurgeons to perform higher level procedures that people would have typically had to previously travel for. So that's great news. Also, John, he mentioned Lent, and Larry reminded me to talk about that. The Knights of Columbus is doing their fish fries on Friday at St. Peter's Church. You drive through like the back of the neighborhood, which is Washington Street, I think, right by Rick's house. And you can just text in or call in your order, I think, and you can do, shrimp, fish, all that good stuff. So, and I know that they're very active with the food bank too. So, help out. That's a great cause. Also, St. Patrick's Day, finally, after 2 long years, we got canceled 2 days before our parade in 2020 due to COVID. Last year, obviously, everything was canceled. And so, yeah, we're doing, finally getting to do our march. It's Saturday, March 12th at 12 p.m., starts at the tap room, goes throughout downtown Covington. It's just a very short route because it's just a march, not a truck parade. And it ends at Joel's Cigar, which will have a black party until 5 p.m. So we have Sweet Daddies is doing their food truck. Food will be there for purchase. Del Porto is going to have some corned beef sliders, cocktails for sale. There'll be a beer truck, of course. Bagpipes, a lot of our fun marching groups, our Celtic Club, which is about 100 strong. And yeah, just really excited. Ryan Schimpf is our Grand Marshal. He's a retired MLB player who didn't get to do it in 2020. So we're finally getting his spot in the spotlight. And also local businessman who was hurt getting hit by a truck, like his body was hit. Tim Landtrip is going to be our honorary Grand Marshal. He miraculously survived, went through rehab, was, very, very serious condition. And he feels well enough to thankfully ride in our parade. He was instrumental in making voluntold to improve the St. Patrick's Day parade a few years ago that Nick and I started and have kind of run with. And so he's a big part of the celebration, and we're glad that that he's here with us and can participate in it. So that's it for District D.
Thank you. Good information. Councilmember Rett.
Yeah, I wanted to thank this council and the city administration. Nose Park track came out great. If you hadn't seen it, go out and look at it. Another example of what we can do together. And I know for a fact the constituents are very appreciative. They don't have a sidewalk that comes out of Old Landing. That's a nice little safe area, and it really came out good. And kudos to the city engineer, Callie, as well, because I think she really played a good role in moving that forward. With that being said, this city did a phenomenal job for Mardi Gras. Phenomenal. And as I look over here, Larry Rowland deserves a lot of credit. It was exactly what Covington is all about, and we all know the type of community we want to be. And so, big thank you for that. And look, things are good, right? So keep Covington rolling. You knew where it was going.
I like that. I like the sound of that. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Councilman Smith. Are you sure about that?
Larry's going to be thanking a lot of people for the things that took place, and it was exceptional. I had friends, I had grandchildren, I had friends of grandchildren. Everybody had a blast Mardi Gras day, and you played a very integral part. And yes, I believe that was the best Mardi Gras we've had in the city of Covington, and you get the kudos, baby. You did a great job. With that said, too, I want to compliment the police that I ran into on the route. They were very cordial, happy, friendly, helpful. Our Public Works Department had the city looking top-notch. In the next 48 hours, you couldn't tell there was a Mardi Gras. So that's a lot of hard work, a lot of work behind the scenes, and I want to compliment them for their efforts. With that, I'm out of comments. Thank you.
And Larry, let me just say this before I forget, and before you get too, that head gets too big. Lions Club also deserves a huge round of applause. It was a team effort, and you guys nailed it.
One thing too, also, Larry, I want to say too, what we've all forgotten is like we just all mentioned about all the tremendous work that Public Works did, and then back to back, we got Mardi Paws, another huge success in the city. Everybody was out there, everybody had a great time. I think with the chief for all the work they did and stuff, and Public Works putting out every single barricade that we had throughout the whole district and stuff, and then coming a day later, you don't even know it existed. So kudos to them as well.
Thank you. Thanks for the nice comments. You know, the board of directors for our parade, which is Carnival in Covington, they worked very hard for the last 2 years because we didn't know if we were rolling in 2021. So they've been working, that's right. But they worked extremely hard. This was a great, successful Mardi Gras season. I want to give kudos for the crew of Olympia, obviously the Lions Club, the Carnival in Covington Parade, and also Mardi Pars. I appreciate you mentioning that. They're historic crowds, there's no doubt about it. Again, there was a lot of people, volunteers in these organizations that worked very hard to put on a show for the city of Covington. So even the Trailhead event, Mardi Gras Day, was beyond what our thoughts were as far as the attendance for that. So again, a lot of thank yous out there for the volunteers. Mardi Gras is February 21st, 2023, just to let y'all know. We're already working on 2023. I know the best is yet to come. There's no doubt about that. We're working on some fun things that are going to happen with Mardi Gras in 2023. The police department did an absolutely great job. No incidents on all 4 organizations, which is great. The fire department, the public works, they do an awesome job. I think someone mentioned how clean it looks like a few hours later or whatnot.
8 hours, I would say 4
Yeah,
to
the next
8.
day,
Like,
right.
it
I mean,
was
it's just
so fast.
unbelievable.
I live on the route for both, and it's exceptional.
So again, the best is yet to come. Thank you so much for everybody that participated, because we had our business community and sponsorships that really, really participated in this year's Mardi Gras season, so we thank all of them. Then we're going to go into some other business really quick. Redistricting is right around the corner for the city of Covington council districts. In the newspaper, The Farmer, and also posted at the city, there's a tentative timeline for these workshops, and I'll just briefly go through them. The first workshop is Wednesday, March 16th, 2022, in these council chambers at 6 p.m. So anybody from the public is invited for that. Also, the second workshop is Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022, same chambers at 6 p.m. And then we plan the public hearing and ordinance introduction at the council meeting April 5th, 2022 at 6 p.m. in these chambers. And then also we have a public hearing and adoption council meeting on May 3rd, May 3rd, 2022 at 6 p.m. in these chambers. So that being said, we want participation. The public needs to see what the recommendations are. The councilmen up here will, the council members up here will have a decision and some of these recommendations. So I think we're all anxious to see how this is going to unfold, and it's right around the corner. So mark your calendars for that. But again, it's published in the Farmer, at City Hall, and anybody that we have an email for that is going out. Correct, Joanne? Okay. Also, one more thing real quick. Kelly Kicking Cancer, if you're familiar with that, they're going to be in downtown Covington this weekend with Irish Parade.
I forgot. I'm sorry. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. They're in the morning. Yeah, first thing in the morning. And then, yeah, it's the first time ever we've fallen on the same weekend because of Chef's where I usually interfere.
It's going to be a great day.
So it's a great day, yeah.
So March 12th, this Saturday, I know their registration is 7:30 a.m. It's 5K and a fun run at the trailhead. So they're going to be in the city of Covington downtown area. So I think it's going to be fun, and the parade passes. So what a great day in Covington. I think Councilman Barrett said there's a lot of great things in the city, and it takes the people to make all these things happen. So we appreciate everybody. So that being said, that's all I have. I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Mark.
Thank you, Council President Rowling. Just wrap up on Mardi Gras one more time. On Saturday night, a couple of weeks ago, the crew of Olympia had one of the largest parade crowds ever. We thank the crew for the wonderful parade they gave our city. And on the next day, Sunday morning, I received the arrest report. 0, none, zilch. What a wonderful reflection upon our community. I'd also like to thank the Lions Club and the crew of Covington for sponsoring the traditional Mardi Gras Day Parade, and thank Councilman Larry Rowling and Facility Directors Amy Tucker and the entire Carnival in Covington Committee for a wonderful Mardi Gras Day parade and after event at the trailhead. On Ash Wednesday, I received the parade-related arrest report. Again, 0. Just fantastic. This past Sunday, we had what is quickly becoming another signature event in the city of Covington, Mardi Paws. I am here to tell you it was a doggone good time. Come on, folks. Everybody's getting tired here. I'm going to give a big shout out and a thanks to the police departments during the parades. We always thank our Covington Police Department, but sometimes it gets lost on us that also on the streets of Covington that day are police departments from Madisonville, Pearl River, Mandeville, Bogalusa, Folsom, Ponchatoula, the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office, and the Louisiana State Police, as well as the fire departments from Covington, Madisonville, Goodby, Mandeville, Abita, and Fire District Number 12. Also need to thank our Public Works Department, Coastal Environmental Services, and Acadian Ambulance. Great professionalism across the board. Finally, much appreciation to Erin Bavona and her team in administration. They are the backbone of the city, and their support of all the other departments is crucial. Review of capital projects, just a little status update here. Regarding the large meter replacements, they are currently on hold while we await for the arrival of the meters. They have been back ordered since last fall. This just seems to be a basic supply chain difficulty. The downtown sidewalk rehabilitation project began this week. I've asked engineer Callie Baker to provide us a map overlay of the affected areas, so we'll be able to share that as needed. Regarding the clearing and desnagging of Blue Swamp Creek, all permits have been secured. The project is currently advertised for bid. Bid opening is scheduled for March 31st. We all know how I feel about construction timelines, but it's good news that we are now this much closer to work actually being done. Regarding the new sewer force main crossing Ronald Reagan Highway to the wastewater treatment plant, the design is complete and bids for construction are due on March 29th. That's a good thing. Regarding replacing our oldest effluent pump at the wastewater treatment plant, design for the new pump is 90% complete. Regarding creating redundancy with our wastewater treatment plant belt press, design is at 100% review stage. As I am sometimes fond of saying, our projects move at the speed of government. The idea to apply for a state grant for the belt press project began with a meeting I had with my friend Senator Jack Donahue in the late summer of 2019. He introduced the application in Baton Rouge and then handed the baton off to newly elected heading into construction. She hopes to find time to continue the research on speed mitigation incline declines, formerly known as speed bumps, right? Used to have bumps, and now you have an incline, flat on the top, and a decline. That we began that research prior to Hurricane Ida. Ida recovery for 3 months, and then emotional and mental strain in December kind of postponed that. In addition, I will continue to look at small curbing and freestanding pedestal delineators to consciously cause drivers to slow down. One of our residents, Michael Rogers, sent me a YouTube video that was fascinating regarding subconscious and conscious driving, how speeding is affected, and how it's relative to the width of the street. And people don't go the speed designated by the sign, they go the speed in their mind that they feel safe on the street. And that seems to be one of our problems. And that sometimes by putting a visual in the street, just something small, that grabs their attention and makes them have to pay attention, that actually causes them to slow down. So we're still trying to address the issue of speeding across our city. In that regard, the police department has made over 2,000 traffic stops in the past several months. I believe this is having the desired effect of getting people's attention. Finally, we've ordered one of those radar trailer thingamajigs that flashes how fast you're going. And I think we hope to get that next week. Yes. So that's a report on our capital outlay.
Anything else from the mayor? Okay. Anything for administration? Okay. Before we break, I wanted to thank, I see our skate park attendees are still here. Hey, thumbs up to y'all, man. This is probably one of the longest meetings in our history, or in a long time, so we appreciate you being here. Again, the April 2022 City of Covington Council meeting will be held Tuesday, April 5th at 6 p.m. in these chambers. And again, we appreciate everybody being here. This meeting is adjourned. Kudos to these guys, man. Kudos to these guys.